You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. So we're going to be talking to our regular guest, Ian Goodwin from the Sheppey Coastguard. Ian, as always, it's great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and good evening to all your listeners. I'm just going to give you a little bit of overview about Her Majesty's Coastguard, if I may. It's the service of the government of the United Kingdom concerned with coordinating air-sea rescue. And Her Majesty's Coastguard is a section of the Maritime and Coastguard Agency responsible for the initiation and coordination of all civil maritime search and rescue within the UK maritime search and rescue regions. And probably people have already heard me say that that's quite extensive. It's 10,500 miles of coastline, and it extends 1,000 nautical miles by 1,000 nautical miles into the Atlantic Ocean, which is a million square nautical miles. So it's a significant amount of region that is. And this includes the mobilisation, organisation and tasking of adequate resources to respond to persons either in distress at sea or to persons at risk of injury or death on the cliffs or shorelines of the United Kingdom. And I'll come on to a little bit later about the safety aspects on the cliff, because we've had a few incidents recently in relationship to that. The Chief Executive of the Maritime and Coastguard Agency is Sir Alan Massey, and he reports directly to the Minister, and the operation control of the service is responsibility of the Chief Coastguard. Now, our history goes back, actually it goes back to about 1809, but it's slightly before then in terms of our origins go back to smuggling. But effectively, we started in 1809, so we are actually a well-established emergency service. In fact, we can claim to be one of the, if not the oldest emergency services in the world, and certainly in the UK. In terms of the Maritime and Coastguard Agency itself, it's an executive agency of the Department of Transport responsible throughout the UK for implementing the government's maritime safety policy, and that includes coordinating search and rescue at sea through Her Majesty's Coastguard, checking that ships meet UK and international safety rules, and preventing coastal pollution. Now, in terms of our job, what we do on Sheppey, typical jobs that Her Majesty's Coastguard on the Isle of Sheppey can be called to are sailboarders too exhausted to reach the shore, walkers and animals who slip from cliff paths, boats losing rudder control, crews stranded aboard a container ship battered by freak waves, medical emergencies, incidents involving fires on vessels, suicide victims that have jumped from cliffs or bridges, missing adults and children around the cliffs or beach areas, broken down merchant vessels in English waters, evacuating injured persons at sea, locating missing persons and vessels at sea, groundings and collisions at sea. Now, I've been on Her Majesty's Coastguard service for 15 years now, actually. 16 years coming up. 16 years, actually, next week. And I've actually dealt with every single one of those particular incidents, and so have most of my colleagues on the actual service itself.
So I know we're next going to cover safety, Ian.
Yeah, we do deal with quite a significant amount of incidences over the 12-month period, depending on the actual weather conditions. So I'm not going to go on about inflatable boats and toys and tombstoning, but we do deal with lost children. We do deal with people who haven't worn life jackets and buoyancy aids. We do deal with people who are under the influence of alcohol and think they can swim miles and miles, and they can't, and we have to go and sort that one out. But the one I just wanted to mention, because it is significant at the moment, we have experienced over the last 12 months again some significant coastal erosion. And I'm just mindful that we do have a number of dog walkers who do have a tendency to walk along the cliffs. And as you already asked me this evening, you said, what was that incident involving the fire brigade and the Coast Guard the other week? And that was actually a dog which had actually gone over the cliff. We're not actually legally obliged to rescue animals, although we do have the capability to rescue animals. And the reason why we do rescue animals is because invariably their owners will try and rescue them. And as a consequence of the owners trying to rescue them, we then have a double emergency, because we then have to rescue the owner and the actual animal itself. But in terms of dog walkers, please stay away from the cliff edges. They can be crumbly or slippery when wet. Always keep your dog on a lead near the cliffs, and do not attempt to rescue a dog which is being swept out to sea yourself. This is because you are likely to get into difficulty, and many dogs return to the shore alive, but some owners do not. I mean, in all of these incidents, call 999 and ask for the Coast Guard. We can deploy the resources, we can deploy the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, and we can actually get the right people who are correctly trained in position, and to actually enact and effect the actual rescue itself. But if you are going to walk along the cliffs and the coastal, make sure that you are properly equipped for walking along coastal paths. Wear sturdy shoes or boots, and check the weather forecast before you set out. Please ensure you check the tide conditions. We've had people cut off the tides last year as a result of not checking the tides. Sheppey is quite prevalent for mud. We do get a lot of people who get trapped in mud, and we have got specialist equipment to get people out of the mud. And again, we've done that on quite a number of occasions. And if you are taking your boat out, make sure you've done all the relevant safety checks, that you've got your life jackets, that you've got your VHF radio, that you've got all your flares and all your safety equipment on board.
So I know next, Ian, we're going to cover the incidents that you've covered since you were last here.
Yeah, well, last time I was here was actually in November, and I'm going to pick out 3 significant incidents which actually illustrate A, what I've just been talking about, and B, the variety of incidents that we actually deal with. The first one was in November, when we were tasked by Thames Coastguard to assist Herne Bay Coastguard to undertake a 10-mile search between Sea Salter and Herne Bay in an attempt to locate a missing vulnerable male. Now, we established a command centre at the sector base at Whitstable, and this extensive search exercise involved the Coastguard Area Commander, the Whitstable Lifeboat, the Margate team and the Sheppey team. And we were finally able to locate the missing male following a discussion with a member of public who knew the person by the description, and we then returned to station. But this particular person does like what do they call it, coastal huts, beach huts, and does have a tendency to go inside them. So we did have to search and go round every single beach hut along that particular coastline, but fortunately found alive and well. So that's a sort of missing person type activity. In December, we were tasked to Warden Bay to assist Kent Fire and Rescue Service in the extraction of 2 females aged 15 from the mud at Warden Springs. Now, the actual Whitstable lifeboat recovered the casualties, and they were attended to by the ambulance service, and they were actually suffering from the early stages of hypothermia, and this was well documented in the local press. And the final incident, which took place a couple of weeks ago in January, was to deal with something we do quite regularly deal with, and that is explosive ordnance. And what happened is on the rear of the island, a fishing vessel had pulled up a couple of shells, one of which was inert, one of which was actually live, and the EOD, which is the Royal Navy Explosive Ordnance Department, bomb disposal, effectively, of the Royal Navy, came up from Portsmouth, and they dived and took off these things off to Horse Sands, which is used by the seals during the summer as a sunbathing part on the rear of the island, and they blew up these devices, and that was a 6-hour what we call a shout. So those are all the significant issues that we've been dealing with.
Well, Ian, if you're happy we've covered everything, I'd like to thank you once again for coming along, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of months' time again.
Yeah, well, hopefully, yes. Thank you very much, Daniel, and I'll look forward to coming back, and hopefully the weather will be a little bit nicer than it is today. It's quite breezy out there. Yep. It must be a force 6, I would imagine. So it's not particularly very nice at all. So if you are out and about, wrap up, and as I say, keep away from those cliffs. And thank you very much.